I can see the benefits to A Christmas Visitor, particularly if you are going through something that one of the characters is. I feel like it might be worthwhile to watch this because it might be uplifting, but I found this to just be very depressing. And I feel like the film was trying to show that actually there are positive outcomes even if you're going through a difficult time, but I just found that it was so down that I didn't really enjoy it. It just made me miserable. This was released in 2002. It's directed by Christopher Light. It's written by George Samarjan and David Saperstein. And we have a cast including William Devane and Meredith Baxter and Dean McDermott. And it's about this family who are going through a really difficult time. They lost their son in the Gulf War. There are other problems in their life at the moment. Their Christmas is not exactly going to be a happy one. And then we have the Christmas Visitor, and I won't say too much about that character as I don't want to give away too much, but this person comes into their life and helps them to find hope and happiness amongst all of these difficult things. And there are many, many films like that, and generally I find them to be really uplifting. There are so many films, particularly Christmas films, where the characters are in a rough patch, but a character will come along, usually a stranger, and it helps to show them that there is light at the end of the darkness, and they're really uplifting and really beautiful. But this one was just depressing scene after depressing scene, and it took absolutely forever to get anywhere. And it's quite a long film as well. It's an hour and 40, which is not the longest film, but it's a decent length, and it just dragged and dragged and dragged. The characters are mostly boring and unlikable. I didn't mind George and Matthew. I thought they were okay characters, but everybody else was just so either boring or irritating. So for me, this didn't really do anything. I found it to be tremendously boring and really just depressing, not uplifting at all. I think the narrative was not handled as well as it could have been. I think the pacing was terrible. I think we needed a little bit more light peppered throughout so that I'm not just miserable throughout the entire film. And we definitely needed to bring in some characters sooner rather than later. However, if you are experiencing something that any of the characters are going through, then I think there might be comfort in that shared experience, and I guess some comfort in what the Christmas Visitor brings, but that part of it is very, very slow and it takes a long time to get anywhere with that. So there might be an audience for this, and honestly, it seems to be well received. It has 6.9 out of 10 across 1.3 thousand reviews and ratings on IMDb, which is a pretty decent score. So it seems like a lot of people love it. I found it to be tremendously dull and not very well executed at all. It's a good idea, but I think the delivery is pretty poor. But if you can connect with any of the characters, then maybe it will be a different experience. But there are many films where we have characters going through a really difficult emotional time, and the films are still watchable. And I just found it put me in a horrendous mood. It just made me feel miserable, so miserable that by the time we got the uplifting moments, which were very fleeting and not very powerfully done at all, it just wasn't enough to lift my spirits. So A Christmas Visitor is not one that I think is a very good film. However, it seems like a lot of people do really enjoy it. So if it sounds like it might appeal to you, if it sounds like something you might benefit from watching, give it a go. But personally, I wouldn't be watching it again. And if you're looking for a film that's either uplifting in a way that's effective or just an enjoyable, motivational, uplifting, meaningful, whatever kind of powerful emotion you're looking for, unless you're looking for misery, I'd say it's probably one that's not worth checking out because it's too slow, it takes too long to get anywhere, a lot of the characters are irritating, and I feel like all of that meant that the potentially uplifting messages were just brushed aside and not enjoyable at all.